Hi, how are you? It's Maya here, and I'm here with my December TBR. Now, you might know that I don't normally film TBRs, but since there are so many books that I wanted to get to in 2016 and I still haven't read, I decided it's time to do a December TBR. So I picked the books that I most want to finish before the year ends. And I'm currently reading The Obelisk Gate, the second in the Broken Earth series by N.K. Jemisin, and I'm about 40% through, and I'm planning to finish this first. I also want to read Hanks the Man by Shirley Jackson, which is a sort of atmospheric horror story that I know nothing about. I don't know anything about the plot, but I picked it up since I really like the other stuff from Shirley Jackson that I've read. Next, the book that I picked up in the summer in London, and this is A Natural History of Dragons by Mary Brennan, and I wanted to read this for so long, and I honestly thought that I would have read it instantly back when I bought it, but I still haven't, so that goes on the list. And this is about a dragon naturalist, a woman who goes about studying dragons in a sort of Regency era-esque fantasy world. Then I have a young adult book. I have Shadow Shaper by Daniel Jose Older. This is a book that I've waited for a while now. It's quite short, so it's good to fit in, and this is about people called shadow shapers who can use magic through art, so I'm all for that. I also need to finish Welcome to Night Vale by Joseph Fink and Jeffrey Craner. This is the book that is based on the podcast with an original story, and I have this borrowed from my sister, and I promised that I would give it back to her when I go visit home on Christmas, so that's what I'm going to read. Then I also have Word Puppets by Mary Robinette Kowal, which is a collection of her short fiction. I've read some of her glamorous histories books, and I've read one short story of hers called, I forget what it's called, Midnight Hour, and I really like that, so I'm really looking forward to reading more of her short stuff. I think this is a mix of fantasy and science fiction short stories. So those are most of the books that I'm going to read, and apart from Welcome to Night Vale, these are all books that I own. But then I have one library book. I actually have a couple of library books, and this is the one that I need to read first because it has reservations on it, and so I can't renew it if I can't get to it in December. And it is Ghost Talkers by Mary Robinette Kowal, and this is a fantasy story about spirit mediums during World War I. So this right here is my planned TBR, and I actually calculated that I can get this done if I can read 70 pages a day, and yes, I actually added all the page numbers together and calculated how much I should read if I want to finish all of these. So 70 pages sounds pretty doable for me, but also I have a couple of other books that I'd like to read. The one that I started for Tom Topple is Robin Hobb's Fool's Fate. This is a reread for me. This is the final book in the Tawnyman series, and I really want to continue reading this as well. I've already read about 70 pages, so this is something that I will read on top of my other reading. So if I get enough read of those books, I can go back to this. I hope that works out. So that would of course be more than enough for December, but there's also a AYearAthon next week from the 5th of December, and the theme is graphic novels, comics and manga and stuff like that. So I have a few comic trades that I would want to get to during that week on top of my other reading. So I recently bought the 4th volume of The Wicked and the Divine called Rising Action, and I can't wait to read this because I really want to know what happens next. But as with all comic trades, usually I can't skip right to the latest one that I bought. I need to reread some of what happened before that. So I will also be rereading during that week some of the volumes. I don't know which one. I'll probably just leaf through the first one and then see what I'll do with the second and third ones. I've only read the third one once back when it came out, so I will perhaps need to refresh my memory the most with that. Then I'd also want to read Gem Volume 2 and Gem Volume 3 next week, but in order to do that I also need to reread Gem Volume 1, which I read last year back when it came out, so I will need to refresh my memory again. So that's 3 more comic trades. And then finally I also bought the 3rd volume of Gotham Academy called Yearbook, and with this one I'm not sure if I need to reread the previous ones, perhaps leaf through the second one and see what happened. So here's the whole stack of comics that I'm planning to read next week on top of my other reading, the 70 pages from some of those books, some of my required reading. Also I think it'll be fun. I have 10 volumes here, but I'm not rereading all of them, so I think I could get away with reading 1 volume a day next week and get all of these done. So that's my pretty ambitious TBR for December. Do you have some books that you were planning to read in 2016 that you just haven't gotten around to? And are you planning to read them in December or just leave them for 2017 and take it easier? So I'm really hoping that I will succeed with this. Wish me luck, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you later.